Viewers of anime are very used to the idea of consuming your shows in bite-sized chunks of 30 minutes, or technically more like 23, with the rest being commercials if it was actually airing on TV, but that is what we have come to expect from anime. Maybe once in a blue moon you'll get a show that'll decide to do hour-long episodes, or again, really more like 44-ish minute ones. Maybe you'll only get it for the first episode and that'll be a special treat. Maybe the last episode will have it instead. And every once in a while a show will run with that double length for the whole time, matching what we expect from a lot of live action shows here in the West. But usually you don't see the opposite effect, where instead of being like 23, 24 minutes, it's only like 12 minutes. And when you do, I feel like us as anime fans typically tend to look down on shows like that, ones that don't fill out that chunk of time that we have come to expect from our anime. It just feels off to only watch a half-length show, or God forbid, even less than that, a 3-minute or 5-minute episode. Even though they're more digestible, it just feels lesser. And I'm guilty of this myself. Often I have found myself sort of subconsciously ignoring or looking down on shows that don't have that standard episode length for whatever reason. Like this association is there in my head, and I think in a lot of people's heads, that if it's not as long as a normal episode, somehow it's not as good. And I guess by extension, when we see that longer episode, we sort of expect it to be better. And I guess that kind of makes sense. More time, more content. And if a show only has half-length episodes, you would think there's not going to be as much here. It's not going to be worth my time. There is sort of a logic to it, but it is very misguided. And it's something that I and the community as a whole really needs to work our minds away from, because it is going to cause us to lock ourselves out of good shows just because we think they aren't worth our time, despite the fact that it would be less time than watching a normal show, so it's not really like you're committing more for a show that might not be good. But regardless of that, the reason why we're even discussing this in the first place is because a show came out that was only half length with 12.5-minute episodes. That show being The Magical Girl and the Evil Lieutenant Used to Be Archenemies. And yes, that title is a bit of a mouthful, but the show really is good. It is well animated. Bones really brought their A game to this. And it's just one of the cutest shows that has come out recently. And while it is only half length, and sure, there's not a lot of depth to what's going on, that doesn't mean that it's not a worthwhile experience. That doesn't mean it's not a fun show to watch, because the characters are charming, the romance is cute and sweet, and it's also just a really funny show. I'm not here to claim this show is perfect and is a 10 out of 10 and you need to rush out to watch it immediately, but it is a good, solid, fun, cute time. And it's one that's not going to take up a lot of your time. It's not going to be this big commitment to sit down and watch it, because at the end of the day, it is the equivalent of only 6 quote-unquote normal episodes. That's not going to take up a lot of your time. And for the amount of time that it does take to watch it, I think it is more than worth it. I also like that despite being in this shorter runtime, it's able to kind of play with some expectations regarding the genre. Like you have a magical girl, and of course the magical girl has a animal familiar that gave her her powers and stuff. What if the animal was a jerk and kind of a deadbeat and took advantage of the magical girl? Even though it is there for comedy, I kind of like that it's playing with some of those expectations. You know, I don't want to use the word deconstruction because I know that's kind of a tainted word now, but I like that parody of the magical girl formula. And there's other little things that I really like, how the minions in the evil lieutenant's organization all just screech. And they're saying things, and there's subtitles there to tell you what they're saying, but they all just speak in this screeching sound. It's not like annoying, like it's amusing, but it's those little things that are really charming to me and make the show really stand out in my memory. So I appreciate a lot of the comedy and the types of comedy that the show employs, but it is more than that. It's not just, oh, it's a funny comedic thing. It balances that well with genuinely having a really sweet romance. And yes, it's not the deepest thing ever, but it feels justified and it's just really cute and fun. And honestly, that's all I really need to see for a show to be good. It is a fun time. I don't feel like I'm wasting my time to watch it. And even if I was, it's not a lot of time that I'm wasting anyway, which is basically the whole point of why I'm making this video. Don't skip out on shorter shows because you think their shorter length means they aren't of a high enough quality. This show looks gorgeous. It has a great opening and ending. It is really funny, and it has a sweet romance. It may not have the time to do as much as a standard length show with 12 episodes would, but even with half-length episodes, it does more than enough to be a memorable experience. And I don't want people to skip out on this show and think it's not worth their time and think they should pass on it because it's shorter episode length means there's not enough there. Sure, there could have been more there, but then again, it's just not necessary for the type of story this show wanted to tell. It has the amount of time that it needed. And I didn't feel myself at the end of any episode thinking, wow, I wish this was longer. It didn't overstay its welcome, and the time that we had with it was more than worth it. So please, give the show a watch, even just for like the production value, for the opening and the ending, for the animation that is used, for the comedy. I mean, there's so many things here that are worth your time and make this show worth watching. But beyond this show specifically, watch it so that you don't lock yourself out of shorter anime, that you don't pass over them without thinking about it. Hopefully, if you watch the show and you enjoy it as much as I did, you will be able to look at other half-length or even shorter length anime with more of an open mind and get to explore a lot of those shows that you otherwise may not have. Because at the end of the day, even if you do watch a shorter show and it isn't something that you absolutely adore by the end, you weren't really committing that much time to it anyway. And you may find yourself really enjoying these shorter, to-the-point shows a lot more than you might otherwise expect. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, take care, everyone. Look forward to the next video.